puppy people, it's Cindy Scott with Dogs Etc. Enlightened Dog Training, and I'm here today to talk about treats. And y'all know that I call it enlightened training because I don't just look at your dog's behavior. There's a lot of other factors that go into your dog's behavior. Nutrition, medical care, enrichment. Apparently Rudy doesn't get enough attention. All are like layers to an onion into how your dog behaves. So yes, behavior is important in quote unquote training your dog, but we also want to look at things like nutrition, medical issues. If your dog has a medical condition, it's going to affect their behavior. If your dog has parasites or a urinary tract infection, you can't housebreak them because they just physically can't hold it. And if your dog has an underlying condition like diabetes, which makes them thirsty and drink more, then they're going to pee more. So that's, of course, going to affect their behavior as well. So all of those things are what we want to keep in mind as we live and quote unquote work with our dogs. Okay. So one of the things I want to talk today about is nutrition. And I get this question constantly, and it's an excellent question. Don't get me wrong. It's an excellent question, but I answer it like 20 times a day. So that's why I'm doing this video, just to kind of save my voice a little bit. So nutrition is so important, and I could talk hours on nutrition because you literally are what you eat. And I personally became fascinated with nutrition and really started exploring it. Oh gosh, it's been almost 30 years now. Oh, no. Harrison's 23, 24, been 24 years ago. My dad died of cancer. I literally watched the life being sucked out of him. And at the same time, I was pregnant with Harrison. So it was a very interesting situation where I saw his life going out and I was growing a new life inside of me. It was very strange, but watching him suffer and how cancer just destroyed him led me to my quest for nutrition and why nutrition's so important to me and why my kids literally call me the food Nazi, because I'll be like, what's in that? What are you eating? Let me read the ingredients. And it is shocking what the ingredients are. In our food, in the dog's food, there's such little regulation to it all. And that's what I want you guys to become aware of. That don't assume that everything is safe to eat because it's on the shelves. Otherwise it wouldn't be safe. So read those ingredients. And especially with the dog food, there's even less regulation with it. So, and I've done videos on that, more in-depth things to look for, but primarily you want to look for, preservatives, sugar. They're putting sugar in everything. My mom has really bad celiac disease, which means that she can't have one crumb of gluten, and they put a flour in even like grated cheese. You buy grated cheese, it has flour in it. So becoming really aware of what goes into your body is so important for so many reasons. I'm going to go on a rant here, but also different things with the dogs. So these continuous hair growth dogs, these poodles that don't shed, which we love about them, very prone to dermatitis and allergies. So they'll scratch, they'll lick, etc. And he's like, what are you talking about me? And it's just a food allergy. So you want to watch that you're not feeding them corn, wheat, or soy. Those are the big three that are irritants. And then, of course, you want to make sure that there's no byproducts or, preservatives, additives, sugar. Okay, so now I'm moving back over here. I had to move Poodle out of the way to show you what I feed. Now, this is you have to feed this type of lecture. This is just showing you what I do because I get this question all the time. So mealtime is training time. Instead of feeding your dog in a bowl, make them work for it. And what I'll do is I will take their meal, pictures with 1,000 words, right? So I'll just take their kibble, what the serving that they're going to get for the day. Let me move this up a bit. The serving that they're going to get for the day, and just put it in their bowl. And instead of just giving it to them, he knows he has to sit before he gets it. They're both sitting here. I'll make them do something. Definitely at least have them do a sit, and then they have to wait and be told to take it. Or I can just take kibble by kibble. Come here, Ruth. Sit. Good boy. Good boy. Good shake. And make them do something for it, Come here, eggs. Come here. Sit. Definitely at least a sit. Shake. Shake. Good shake. So instead of giving treats, I'm just giving kibble, making them work for it. And they're like, oh, yummy, yummy. It's kibble. So nothing fatty, nothing that's bad for them. I don't want you to blow out your dog's pancreas teaching them to behave. And you don't have to. Just use their food. And yes, food is like money to your dog, so the kibble's worth maybe a couple of bucks. So one kibble is worth maybe a couple of bucks. A handful of kibble, that's maybe $50, $100. So remember the amount, the quantity is important as well. Take it. He's like, oh, yummy, yummy. It's a special treat. Okay. So use their meals. Now, wet food, of course, if you have wet food, this is kind of gaumy to use, handfuls of wet food or whatever, but you could freeze it. You could make little meatballs out of it. You can take the wet food and put it in like an ice cube tray and then freeze that whole thing. That's a wonderful, easy way to do it. Again, take the whole thing, put it in a Kong. Easier still. But if you need a higher value something, especially when you're in a high distraction area, like if you're doing recall work in the front yard on a long line or something, or if you're taking them for a walk or a class, you can use a higher value. You can take that. A higher value, which would be just like a higher value, more nutritious, I don't want to say nutritious, but a more premium brand, let me put it that way, okay? Something that costs more. So regular kibble, their regular meal. Now something like this. I love Ziwi Peak. It's a wonderful food. It's very, very high quality, but it's very expensive. Okay, fair warning. You will gasp and you might need to sit down when you see how much this stuff costs. But you can get it, and I have a smaller bag up there. You can get it in a smaller bag, and that's what we usually do. I picked up this big bag because I wasn't even thinking about the cost, and I needed it. So I'm like, oh, well, I'll just grab that, And then I got to the checkout, and I was like, excuse me, did you add an extra zero to that? But a little bit goes a long way. And like everything else, you get what you pay for, right? So, and I'll show you what this is. It looks like this. It's these little, and it's almost like a jerky treat. It's a little bit stinkier, and remember, as far as treats go, the stinkier the better. But again, you can break it into tiny pieces. So like this one, that was a bad example. Like this one piece, you can break into 4 or 5, little pieces. I'm notorious for being very stingy with food. A little bit certainly goes a long way. Again, as we start adding in treats, we want to be careful that we're not overfeeding them, especially if your dog is over a year. Very important not to add weight to them. I mean, even a pound, an extra pound if you have a smaller dog or a dog that has some hip issues, is a lot. So, so use their meals, use something of higher quality like this. Even cat food, this is my cat's, but I'll even throw in a little bit of like dry cat food, you know, in, for training. And what I'll do a lot is I'll save, if I have one here, well, I'll save like the empty treat bag and throw in a cup of kibble and maybe a little bit of even, you know, cat food, which is smellier, something of a different taste. And then you can make doggy trail mix out of this. So sometimes he gets a piece of kibble, sometimes he gets a jerky treat, sometimes he gets a Ziwi Peak, sometimes he gets one of these tasty reward treats. So this is worth maybe $100, $1,000 to your dog. So again, it's about, I think I need to take a break and get a drink. Okay, I'm better. See, this is the problem I'm having. I talk so much during the day, I actually lose my voice sometimes, which, oh, sorry, my husband really doesn't mind. Some Saturdays I'll come home after doing multiple classes and then a private or two, and I'm like, I can't even talk. And he's like, okay. So what was I talking about? So up the treat. Up the value. Remember, the higher the higher the distraction, the higher the motivator has to be. So remember that as you're living and working with your dog, don't hit your head against the wall. Okay, if they're not interested in what you're offering them, offer them something else. And sometimes just a couple of something. Instead of giving them one piece of kibble, do a handful of kibble. Just keep. You can see, like, Rudy's like laying right here. Rudy's like, oh, I'm guarding all the stuff here in case something happens to fall out. Anyway, so yeah, mix it up, but use their meals. Things that you want to stay away from would be, again, read your labels. Lots of sugar, byproducts. I'm not even going to tell you what byproducts are. It's disgusting. And trust me, you don't want your dog anywhere near anything that says byproduct. Make sure it doesn't have corn, wheat, soy. It's very difficult for all dogs to digest, and very potentiality to cause some dermatitis and some other food allergies. So, oh, I forgot I was holding this. Do you want to have it? But read the labels and just use their meals. Oh, I know what else I'm going to read. So other things that you can use, don't think that a treat has to come out of a bag. Yes, it makes it more convenient and easier, but you can also, you know, cook a sweet potato, little pieces of sweet potato. You can boil a chicken breast. Chicken breast is great. It's one ingredient. We know what it is. And you can just, you know, boil it in little pieces. And that's like $10,000 to your dog. That's the highest value there is. If you are handy in the kitchen, or you have a dehydrator, or you can even toast it in a toaster oven, slice the pieces of chicken breast and then put it in the dehydrator. I should do a video on that. I'll show you how to do that. And then a dehydrated, it's easier to carry around. It's not slimy. It doesn't have to be refrigerated, etc. But again, it's one ingredient. You know what it is. You know that it's fresh. You know that it hasn't been sitting on a store shelf for 6 months or a year. You know that it hasn't been cross-contaminated with who knows what. You know, I mean, that's what I like about this brand, this Life's Abundance, is they ship it straight to you. They don't sell it at stores because they don't want it to sit there for months on end. They want it to get to you fresh. And there's nothing fresher than taking something out of your fridge and giving it to your dog. So, so sweet potato, carrots, broccoli, green beans, Bananas, oh my gosh, Igmund here loves bananas. You cannot open a banana, you know, if he's the other side of the house, he'll come running. He loves bananas. But not all dogs do. They're just like us. They have their likes, they have their dislikes. And it's really about, you know, knowing your dog and what they're willing to work for. And then just making them work for it, you know, no free lunch, nothing is free. And then that way you are training them all day long. That's the other thing. Training is not when you're doing a quote unquote training session. Every interaction you have with your dog, they're learning, whether it's something you want them to learn or something you don't want them to learn. It's all about being intentional. My cat, he wants to go outside. He sees the birds and he's like, outside. I always tell him, you know, he'd be a tasty little morsel out there. He doesn't believe me though. I always tell him there's a lot of things that would like to eat you. And he's like, I could handle him. I'm sure he thinks he could. Okay, so treats. What's the best treat? Your dog's meal. Make them work for their meals. No free lunch. Other than that, if you need a higher value treat, give them more of their meal. Instead of one kibble, give them a handful. You can up it, giving them, you know, the canned food. Raw food, I don't have any here, it's in my car. I like the dehydrated Stella and Chewy's, the Primal, even the different brands that have, it's raw food, but it's dehydrated. So it's easy to carry around, doesn't have to be refrigerated. And again, you can break into tiny little pieces. And that is an excellent one to use as a high valued treat, especially during classes or during high distraction times. And these buffalo lungs, they love these. This is like doggy crack. They absolutely love this. They stink, fair warning. And those of you that have been around these, you know. So make sure you seal them up well when you're done. But they absolutely love it. I haven't opened one. It's one ingredient. It's dried buffalo lung. Yeah, ingredients, water buffalo lungs. It's gross, especially being vegan. This is how much I love animals. And my dogs and my cat is touching the meat and doing all of that. It's disgusting. But usually the stinkier the better. So that's why they like the buffalo lung. The freeze-dried fish, that's another one I've been using lately. It comes freeze-dried. Again, any pet store, feed store has it. Amazon, hello. Freeze-dried fish, very stinky, but that's a great one to use as a high value, especially for walking. If you have a dog that's reactive, and you need for them to focus on you, typically the stinkier the better. Words to live by. The stinkier the better. And then mixing them too. So don't forget, you can take your regular kibble, put it in an old treat bag or Ziploc bag, and then put in something stinky in there. Put a little thing of the dehydrated fish, and then shake it up. So it's like doggy shake and bake. And so now the kibble tastes and smells like the freeze-dried fish or whatever. So you don't have to use a whole lot of that extra stuff. That's the other thing I want you to keep in mind. A little bit certainly goes a long way. So mixing it with the kibble, using little bits at a time, and then the randomness of it. That's the other reason I like to make the doggy trail mix, is because it takes it off of your plate. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to go, what should I use as a reward? Well, it's automatically random. The randomness is automatic. How's that? Okay. So the more random something is, the differential reinforcement, that's what's going to keep your dog's interest. Because he doesn't know when or where or what he's going to get, so he has to do it every single time. Oh, Eggman, come here. You're so squishy. It's like the squishiest dog. Oh, don't tell me. So using, mixing it with the kibble, but using the kibble as a base. Same thing with the Kong stuffings that we talk about. You know, 90% of it is just their meal. It's just their kibble. And zhuzh it up with a little seasoning, a little something extra, okay? So best treats, their meal, high, super quality, premium brand food, and then high, super high quality premium treat, read your labels, and then one ingredient food that you already have. Chicken, sweet potatoes, my dogs love banana, apple, no grapes or raisins, no chocolate, nothing like that. I have to go through that. And just know what your dog likes that make them work for it. So on that note, I have to go feed my cat now. He's a little dramatic, but that's a cat for you. So anyway, if you have questions, please check out my website. Drop me a line. Definitely shoot me a comment below what your dog's favorite treat is. And till next time, go play with your dog. Go have fun. We'll see you then. Bye. I know, I'm so weird.